Welcome to the Facial Recognition Comedy Podcast. I'm Pallavi.
Oh, and I'm Fizza.
I'm Zara.
And our guest today is Rajiv Satyal.
Yay!
Hey, what's up? Thanks for having me.
Welcome. We're so glad you were able to take a break from your busy schedule.
You caught me. I'm in town.
That's crazy. Are you ever in town anymore?
Well, right now, and I'm here for a couple days, and then I go out again, and it's just like I keep going. I'm like a boomerang.
You do comedy on tour. I forgot to mention that you're a comedian.
Oh, yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah, that does make sense for people to know. Yeah, I do comedy on tour.
Host, but you're also a marketer. You're just like, you're kind of everywhere, aren't you?
Yeah, I guess you could. I mean, I grew up in marketing, sort of, and I guess I market myself now. So, sure. We're all in marketing.
You came out of the womb marketing?
I came out of the womb probably engineering more.
Oh, okay.
And then I went into marketing. I kind of went left to right brained because I was pre-med, then engineering, then purchasing, then marketing, then an agency, and then comedy.
Do you find that those skills, like the marketing skills, really do translate well to being a comedian?
I think for stand-up, it's whatever you can bring to the table, right? It's whatever you show up with. I feel like that's what you use,
Marketing
right?
is an asset.
It's an asset,
I think if you don't have the marketing skills, you need to figure it out.
But I'm the worst at that part of the job. That's what's weird, is I feel like my production is better than my marketing. My distribution is better than my marketing. I think I'm still an artist first. Like, I always have the battle of like artist versus business person, especially when I'm on stage. And I go, oh, I should do these 45 and save the 15 for the next year. But the artist in me always wins. I'm like, no, let's just keep going. Yeah. And so I should cut it per the contract, but I'm not that business minded. The artist, the child in me takes over, and I just want to do that. So I feel like I'm not that good of a marketer. I think I'm a better comic than I am a marketer.
Well, that's good because you're a comic.
Yeah, right. I think it's kind of an insult when people are like, oh, I'm not that you said that, but I'm saying when I say that about another comic, I'm like, oh, that guy's great at marketing.
Because
I feel like that's kind of like,
because people really take it as like, I think there are so many comedians and people in art who do have those other skills that get them to where they are, and they don't have the comedy to back it up. So when you get off stage and someone's like, oh, you're a good writer, you take that as an insult. You're like, am I not a good performer, bitch? Like, why?
Or you're really likable.
Yeah.
Oh, so my bits aren't good?
Have you ever done a set and someone came up to you after and said you're a really good marketer?
That would be insulting. That would be almost as bad as, wow, this crowd was amazing. Like if somebody said that, it's like, I think I was pretty funny. No, the crowd they carried your ass. Like that would be.
I've definitely had, so what's your day job?
Wow.
Shut the fuck up and go get hit by a bus.
That's pretty serious. Yeah.
But that hasn't happened in a while.
No one's told me I'm a good engineer after a set. I might actually
it'd be like, are you a good, you're a good marketer, you're a good engineer.
Yeah. But I think because I know you outside of comedy too.
We met on Halloween.
What
were your
2014.
costumes?
Was it?
I remember it vividly.
Yeah.
What were your costumes?
Because I met you right before you came out here, and I didn't know you were a stand-up.
So this was in LA at a party?
No,
in New
this
York
was New
at a
York.
party.
This was like
On the streets?
This was literally 4 or 5 days before I moved from New York to LA, and it was Halloween. And I was leaving my apartment. I was going to go hang at my parents' house in Jersey for a few days. And then I was on a one-way flight from Jersey to here. And so he was like...
Friends with a friend of yours.
Yes,
and I forget,
a friend of a friend.
I forget what I was that night.
You were Gandhi.
Oh, I was Gandhi.
I mean...
Instagram, @Funny Indian, everybody. Honestly, I murdered on the beat. I crushed... Probably ironic to use that for Gandhi, but I would say I wrecked that. I am a very good Gandhi.
That was a...
What were you
But you're on a diet. You're on a diet now.
change.
But did you do a diet then?
I did not, but I'm on a diet now, and I feel like I should keep that diet because, in fact,
Halloween's
I think
coming up.
September I'm going to start growing it all out, and I think I'm going to go for a real mustache this year.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
For
Are
Gandhi,
you
I think that'd be
Gandhi every
dope.
year?
Well, you're doing
No, I
Gandhi
wanted to be
yet?
Eminem this year, but I had a plan to learn an Eminem song every month, but I'm way behind.
Why Eminem this year when his last album was
I know,
trash?
because I've been wanting to do it for like 8 years, and
Because
I keep
no
Gandhiing
one
it
else
up
And you
or
only
whatever.
got one shot, one opportunity.
Does Gandhi have a different outfit every year, or is he in the seamless, the...
The problem is I get
that's
booked a
iconic
lot. I've
thing.
gotten booked a lot on those weekends because it's Diwali.
Yeah.
So that's
Oh, yeah,
I
there
should
it
convert to Islam just so that I can do.
You wanna
But
come
you're
to Hajj
making
with me?
bank on Diwali, aren't you?
I'm
like
making bank on
October
Diwali, so I
is your
can't,
month,
like-
right?
I should come out and do the gig as Gandhi.
You should absolutely
They
do
have
that.
shows like that where you in character do stand-up.
Okay, this year
I want to
maybe.
hear a set by Mahatma Uncle.
That was my plan.
Gandhi?
I was going to do
JFL
that.
characters.
Dude, yeah, I should do that. I should go up as stand-up Gandhi. That's been my plan for like 4 years. I just haven't done it. Yeah.
I mean,
So-
he's been
You
accused
hear
of
it
sexual
first.
assault too,
Here.
so that
He
would
got
make
me
sense.
too'd.
Oh
he got
my God.
Me Too. Yeah.
It could be a Me Too. And it could also be like a Meat Ew, like because he's a vegetarian.
That's a way to make
that was terrible.
Oh my God.
Hashtag MEATEW.
Oh my
Me Too.
goodness.
That would
my
be a
goodness.
vegetarian Me Too.
But that
Edit
was
that out.
I feel
Don't.
like your
That's actually quite good.
life has changed a lot since that.
Well,
then.
I
And
was
that
technically
like, what, 4 years
single the
ago?
night we met, and I got my girlfriend at the time, and girl I was dating at the time became my girlfriend that next week, and then I proposed to her. She became my fiance. And then
While
we got
you were on
married.
stage.
While I was on stage, yes.
Wait,
I proposed to her on
what?
stage.
Yeah, Pallavi
Tell the
doesn't know
story.
this. So
Tell
let's
the story.
talk about so
True fact.
your wife is amazing.
Thank you. Rajiv
hung out with
Satyal,
her.
everyone.
She's great.
Thank
you
you.
guys met on
OkCupid.
it works, you guys.
Works for me. I don't know about for her.
Then.
I don't know. I've seen everything.
Has it
Look at
gotten
the
worse?
batting
People talk
average.
about
Oh my
online
God,
dating
yeah.
now
Oh,
like
yeah.
It's
bad.
all trash.
It's the worst.
Yeah.
I think when the swiping phenomenon happened, it just
Thought you were
it went
being
downhill.
sarcastic.
It went
Oh,
downhill.
like everybody knows it's terrible?
Yeah.
Okay, well, it's good that I don't know.
He's been off the market
I'm like,
for a
I know
while.
it's, well, like,
No,
wait,
he
hold on.
met his
Paul,
wife
bail me
on
out.
I know,
it,
but
so-
it's such trash now.
What happened? Where
mean,
was
I'm
the,
on there,
where was
so.
that inflection
When
point?
was this? When did you meet
so
her?
we started talking.
What
on,
era?
April. What era?
Yeah.
April
when
2014.
people were
Okay.
using OkCupid. To
Okay, so
find-
2014, it wasn't
Yeah.
garbage.
It wasn't
Yeah.
dark. I hope not.
I mean, it
yeah.
kind of was because I had an OkCupid account for 2 days, and it was just too many threesome requests from people
my
who
God,
don't show
me
their
too.
faces.
I think for women, it's obviously a very different experience, or people who identify on that side of the gender spectrum.
But
we
also-
need to be very.
But also back
PC
then,
now.
I think that it was like you were on OkCupid. They like anyone could send you a message.
I think so.
You didn't have to match, but I think now you have to match. So
Oh,
I was
dope.
just getting a ton of messages on OkCupid. Like
Yeah,
OkCupid
it
was
was
the worst for
overwhelming.
me because they would see like my height and that I had a personality, and they'd be like, "Can you dominate me?" And I'm like,
Wow.
"No, I mean
Right
I could,
into
but
it.
no."
You're like, yeah, I mean, that I'm into that too.
the
but I have to know you.
domination thing, though, they got that from the profile, or
Yeah, just from they're like, "You're tall and are answering questions, not like a robot." So like, can you? And I was like, "This is," and I got a lot of that, and then all the fetish shit from being brown.
What's
but
the fetish? What is that?
They just
I mean, I know what a fetish is, but like what?
they would just like message you in like the little bit of Hindi they know, or they would make like curry jokes, or they would talk about not having been with a brown girl. Like just,
curry
like,
jokes are the worst.
They're so hack. It's
Way to
so
curry
hack.
favor.
I had a
Nope.
I had an ex who made a curry joke,
Yes, I'm a Punjabi.
and I broke up with him.
You did what? You broke up with me?
No, I broke up with him.
Oh, because he made a curry joke?
Yeah.
Did I tell you?
that's grounds for a
No, I'm
breakup.
not
He's a
expressing
comic,
incredulity
it's
about that. But like, what was how many dates had you been on and whatever?
What was,
Oh, we
what
were in
was
a
the
full
joke?
blown relationship.
No way.
What was the joke?
You did
though?
not break
It was
up because of
garbage.
that.
I wanted to break up with him, and that just was like a.
That was
like,
the straw that broke the
moment.
camel's
Yeah,
I,
that camel's back was just. It wasn't a back. It was like
Broke the actual
an acute
camel.
angle.
That
Wait,
came
the wrong
sick.
direction.
Wow, that's good.
Tell our listeners what
Wait, an
this
obtuse
bad curry joke was.
I don't remember.
So
This was
they
a
know
couple
not
years
to
ago.
tell their brown
Can I-
girlfriends this joke.
I mean, there are
do
no
any
good
curry
curry jokes.
I had
Ah,
wait.
jinx, bad luck.
I dated a guy.
Soulmates.
After this happened, I dated him, and it was a bad decision. But we were joking throughout the day about how white he was, and my friends call me Paul, and that he was like super wasted, and he had like a bunch of saltines, and he was like, "Polly, you want a cracker?" And then I dated him later. It was
Why
so bad.
did you do
That's
that?
pretty good.
Because I
though.
was dumb. You know
Oh
my
my God.
But that's a clever. That's
was-
clever.
he was
and
really
it's
drunk.
specific. Your name's Paul in that scenario, and he's a cracker.
Yeah, he was.
I mean, admire that. Like, it's not funny, but
I
it's
mean,
witty.
he was insulting himself.
Yeah, it was-
Right.
Okay.
He's
All
throwing
right.
himself under the bus
Maybe,
just
but
as
yeah.
much.
still.
And Polly isn't a slur.
No, it's like what.
He's throwing him. He's like clowning himself. If anything.
Yeah. So it
I
wasn't
mean,
as
4
bad.
comics analyzing the joke. We got to do it. I mean, like, just kind of look at the merits of the joke. I mean,
Okay.
as long as it's funnier than it is racist, then
I
Yeah,
love
that's
that
true.
he's
Roll with it.
dissecting this. This
you
is
got
great.
to. That's what
Wait,
we
tell
do.
me about your proposal.
Oh, so it's on
Wait,
YouTube.
so I didn't. So I knew about. So
on
I knew
YouTube.
about the proposal, but I didn't know like you were you touring with Kevin Nealon, or it was Kevin Nealon was headlining,
Yeah,
and he
so
just like gave you the stage. And did you work this out with him beforehand?
yeah,
Like, how
it was
did this happen?
really funny because so in case people are lost, so Hersha and I met on OkCupid April 2014. We started talking in May, and that was right after I wrapped up my one-person show, which was called No Man's Land, all about being single. And I hope I find someone. The last performance was April 2014, and then Hersha messaged me 2 days after that show was finished. So I manifested to the extent that you can believe in that.
Wait, so you guys had been talking for a while or something?
We started talking in April. I flew down to go see her in Austin, Texas, her hometown, June 30th of 2014. We hung out for those 3 days, and then we started talking, dating, whatever, but we weren't exclusive, even when I met you.
She was in Austin? She lived in Austin?
She was in Austin.
You started a long-distance relationship?
Yes.
Damn.
How'd you find you on OkCupid if you matched, like, how do you match with someone in Texas?
This is a perfect setup for my joke. That's the beginning of the joke. That's the premise, and I say that if you go into the settings, which of course you know how to do if you're Daisy, and you can go to the settings and the gear, you can change it to people who are looking for you and for whom you're looking, to like 25 miles, 50 miles, 100 miles,
8,000
desperate. So mine was set to desperate. And so that's how she found me, or 8,000 miles exactly, or 8 Mile, since we were doing M&M. So that was the whole idea, was to do that. We started talking, and then November 2nd, I was like, do you want to be my girlfriend? And I remember my friend being like...
So after you had no luck on Halloween in New York, you were like, you know what?
Exactly. I'm out with 4 women.
I'm going to lock it down.
And I'm not even myself. There are 8 different women because they're their costume plus them. So it's like, if this combo isn't working, then I may as well call her Hersha. So no, I hit her up. I was like, and so a friend of mine dissected this. Actually, a Muslim woman friend of mine. She's like, I know why it's taking you so long to ask her to be your girlfriend, because you know this is it. She's like, this is it. Your days of singledom, of bachelorhood are over. And that's why she's like, you're giving her a real shake. You're taking her really seriously. Shake is a Muslim pun too. And so I was like, all right, fine, be my girlfriend. And then 4 weeks later, I'm opening for Kevin Nealon. I met Nealon in 2005 at the Cincinnati Funny Bone. And we started working together. We went to go see Batman Begins together.
What? That was great.
That was dope. I know. My friend Raman was like, ask him to go see it. I'm like,
Dark Knight was better, but still pretty good.
Dark Knight is easily one of the greatest films of all time.
Just any
top 5 post 2000 for sure. Straight up.
Shout out to Nolan.
Yeah. But I did learn that like Kevin's super cool.
Yeah.
And if you're on the road, you're like, why not? It's something to do.
I thought of it the night before. I woke my mom at 4 in the morning because Hersha had come to Cincinnati to meet my parents. I had already met hers. And I go, you know what?
What was the timeline on this? At what
so
point
this is December of 2014.
So 4 weeks after calling her your girlfriend.
Yes.
You're like, I'm going to make this bitch my fiance.
Yes.
That's
but
crazy.
They had been talking for like 6 months, and they had probably
But we'd only spent like 20 hours together.
So my
friends were like, how well do you know this chick?
But in my relationship timeline, 6 months is around when you find out you're a side bitch. So that's like
relationship timeline now, right? Yeah. Like in your 20s, with the fuckboy situation that we have right now. But
so you were saying you feared your singledom ending.
Yeah, of course.
And is that what were you? So how long did you wait till you like stepped up?
Well, I mean, she was like, how don't you know yet? And I go, well, here's the deal. We had a come to Jesus meeting, which she would just like at Le Pan Quotidien. She just goes,
LPQ, what
yo,
up?
man. Yeah, she's like, yo, I mean, like.
Great chain.
Esther, get off the P, right?
That's where
she's
come
like,
to Jesus moments happen.
It was painful. It was painful.
Yeah.
And so she just was like, you know, what's the deal? And I go, reality is like, you're awesome, but this is a decision forever. Like, I mean, if we're going to do this, we're going to do it. And she even, when she came to Cincinnati, she was like, my parents would love if you proposed on this trip. Like,
no way.
Drop that subtle hint.
Rajiv, so this was before you had spent physical time together.
We had spent physical time together, but only like
less than
if we added up the hours, probably like 30 hours.
That's crazy.
So your relationship...
Right, that's when my friends sat me down. They're like, are you sure? How well do you know this? How many hours have you spent with this woman?
But you built intimacy with her just by, you know, talking to her without...
When you know, that old cliche is true. And so...
Is it true? Did you know, like, within that first weekend that you spent time together?
I had a pretty good sense. I wouldn't say I knew, but I'm like, wow, this is the over-under on this is really good.
Yeah.
And I was going, wow, this could really be. And I was calling my friends and going, wow, this might be it. And she just like checked all the, I mean, it is about checking boxes. I mean, as much as it is, but it's also the holistic feeling that anybody gets, right? Like, does this person bring out the best in you? Do you feel like yourself? All those things. It's true, right?
She didn't catfish you.
She didn't catfish me, at least, yeah.
Got a good catch, though.
It's a good catch.
Yeah.
Good catch.
There's a pun there.
There's a pun.
Come on,
fish,
Punjabi.
Catch, something like that. Yeah.
Wait, did you say you're Punjabi?
Punjabi, she's Gujarati.
Oh, okay.
So, but that didn't matter. As long as she was Hindu, I think that was a thing, though.
But that
was parents or
that
you?
wasn't a problem with either one of the families or extended families. So when this wedding happened,
I think my parents, all things being 100% equal, No, my mom didn't care.
Wait,
my dad was.
We're just going to explain that Gujarati and Punjabi are different types of Indian because there are different like ethnicities within India.
Yes.
And there's like they all have stereotypes
different states
that I never
different states,
different states, different languages.
It'd be like Kentucky versus California, but in like 1,000 years. So there are differences between people in the South and people in California. They even start to look different, but multiply that over many, many generations.
People reproducing
weird.
within their communities.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, where your ethnicity becomes.
They have like all these different stereotypes, and I like heard like kind of heard of them growing up, but I always like ignored it.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't want to know these things.
Well, stereotypes are true. I mean, like that's how they work. But it's 51, not 99. So I did this diversity presentation, and I interviewed a bunch of people of different, sexuality, gender, race and all that. And from my friend PK, a comic here in town.
Yeah.
Just remember it's 51, not 99. He goes, 51% of Asians can't drive. He's Asian. And he goes, but don't think that applies to me. He goes, but it is 51.
But everybody wants to be that 49%.
Of course.
And so that 49% is always offended.
Right.
My heart breaks every time someone rear ends me and I look in the mirror and it's a lovely Asian woman.
Of course.
I'm just like, oh no, 51%.
You would think you'd work to like nullify the stereotype. But, well, that was a joke I did about Saudi Arabia. Can we talk about that?
Yeah. I'm going to. We've talked about it on the previous episode.
Okay.
Right. I'm going to Saudi Arabia with my family for an adventure.
Hajj.
Yes, the Hajj adventure.
She will be there when this episode airs.
Oh, Jesus.
You'll need some air.
Yeah.
It'll be like 120 something degrees.
Yeah, it's going to be, I think it is actually going to be 110.
My wife was
just like extended Coachella for Muslims, right?
Oh my God.
What it is, right?
That's good. My wife was like, did you hear that women in Saudi Arabia are able to drive?
With the license?
They've
I said, well, they're allowed to drive. I don't know if they're able to drive.
Yeah.
And so I posted that on Facebook, got a lot of likes because it's funnier than it is sexist. It's sexist, but it's funnier than it is sexist.
I would prefer not to drive, actually.
Really?
I mean, sometimes.
I mean, would you have resources where someone would take you where you want to go?
That's what I would like.
Amazing.
If I had I would like a driver just to avoid this traffic so I could use that traffic time to do something else more
Zara
productive.
wants to be rich in India.
I get that. Yeah, or just middle class in India. You'd have that.
Like just imagine, like I spend at least 10 hours of my week in traffic.
There's always someone poorer than you in India.
That's true.
Now, have y'all done stand-up in India?
I have.
You have?
Yeah, I did it 3 months into stand-up. And I did like Pune, Mumbai, I did the Canvas Laugh Club.
Yeah.
And then I did Chennai too.
How'd it go?
It was super fun. Like I was...
Are you Tamil?
Yeah, I'm half.
Okay.
I'm half Tamil, half Sindhi.
Got it.
Yeah. It was super fun. Pune was the first place I went to, and I literally was like scraping the mehndi off my hands from like this wedding I was attending. I've abandoned 4 weddings to go do comedy.
Good
and
for
so
you.
like I went, I know, right? I went to this like weird area, and I had like all these phones, and I was trying to find the place, and then I finally like went up and I found the place, and I was nervous because I didn't know what they would like understand.
And
or
you've
like
been doing stand up for 3 months.
I mean, yeah, I was less wored about that.
Okay, well that's good.
I don't know. I was just like arrogant, I guess. But
yeah, good for you.
3 months in, yes.
Get the swag on,
pretty arrogant for an open micer. But like the guy before me like went up and he did like grab him by the pussy jokes, and I was like, oh, I'm fine. Like they're gonna get anything that I say. And then it went pretty well, and I made like some really good friends in the Indian scene, and I want to go back and like hang out with them. And
I just did a tour there in February, and it's great.
We want to bring Facial Rec there.
Yeah, we want to take.
You should do it there.
We
That's
want
a really good idea.
We're thinking about it. The producers we're working with, we're kind of like back and forth with right now, but thinking about it.
Well, if you need good producers, I'll let you know.
Yeah,
that'd be
totally.
great.
Put you in touch with some peeps.
They were allotting like 700, the equivalent of $700 for our flight. Like, what do you want us to do? Fly in cargo?
That's what a number of the places do. They're all like, where? Yeah, how are you getting that?
And then the additional money, if we did buy something or purchase something that's more expensive, would come out of our pay. And that's not
what a great deal.
Yeah, I don't know what that deal is. And then also, if we got any corporate bookings while we were there to offset the cost of going there, they were going to take a cut of it.
I know who you're talking about. We don't have to say who it is.
Exactly who I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
What is this? Like, we're not idiots, you know?
We're Indians, not idiots.
But also, we're not desperate to come to India. Like, we all know what it's like.
Yeah.
We're not like that desperate to come to India.
I don't need to get more immunizations.
Yeah.
I mean, I like India.
Boil my water.
I like India, but
I love it. Like, I love going, but I'm not. If I'm going for comedy and it's going to be sponsored,
pay me for the 3 months experience.
Sponsored.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd love to go, but yeah, my parents freak out. They're like, "You're gonna get sick. You're gonna get sick." I'm like, "Why are you putting that on me?"
Girl, it's the best diet. I get it every time I go. I get food poisoning. I lose like 10 pounds.
Do you eat the street food?
Fine. No, bitch, I got an American stomach. I'm sensitive as fuck to everything.
Were
you born here?
I was born in Texas. Yeah.
Where?
In the worst place in Texas.
Dallas?
Lubbock.
Oh, Lubbock.
Dallas is like way better than Lubbock.
I just like to clown Dallas.
What's Lubbock?
Lubbock, Texas is where Texas Tech is located, which is where my dad got his PhD.
Okay.
It's in the Panhandle. I've heard it has its own strain of chlamydia called Raider Rash based on the Texas Tech Raiders.
Oh, okay.
It's very
I was going to ask why you know this.
You know what has a lot of chlamydia? Koalas, evidently.
Yeah.
Is that a known fact?
I've known facts.
Icelandic
if you're
people
into
as well.
koalas.
Shout out to Iceland.
What? Sorry.
Icelandic people have chlamydia as well because they have they call the Icelandic handshake or they call a one night stand an Icelandic handshake.
Wait, so do you mean all of them or 51%?
Oh,
that's a
take a break. We'll be right back. That was great. That's what Nealon says all the time. To finish the story, I finally, I had the idea at 4 a.m. I woke my mom up and I go, I think I want to propose to her on stage because I'm already opening for Nealon. I was like, what do you think? She goes, I think it's a wonderful idea. She's a mom. Of course, she wants her son at 38 to get married. So proposed to her in the studio for all she cares. And so I had already gotten the ring. And no, I went to go get the ring that day. And then...
so you guys fit ring shopping into this
yeah, because we'd already gone to Tiffany just to see what style she liked. We weren't going to get our rings at Tiffany, but she worked it pretty well. She's like, well, if you do it this weekend. I was like, oh, I think that's what she's doing. So
I need to talk
went to Tiffany, got it. Shout out to Amy, who helped us out there, my Facebook friend now, and got the ring, ran back across the bridge, because it's technically in Kentucky, the Cincinnati Funny Bone, just like the airport. And I talked to Nealon that day. I was like, should I do it at the very end, like after your headlining set, or will you be able to follow it? And he goes, I'll follow it. Don't worry, I'll follow it. And I'm like, that's so good.
It's Kevin Nealon.
It's Nealon. He's like, it just laughed. I was dying.
He probably used it in his set.
Did. Oh, it was brilliant. Watch the video because it's brilliant. At the end of it, he goes, well, I'll ruin it for you, but for the listeners, pause and go listen to it. He goes, give it up for Rajiv and Harsha. Cheers, cheers, cheers. You know, he does this every week. It's a different girl. It's nauseating. It's really sickening.
That's so funny.
So good how he does that. It's so brilliant. So he had sent me an email. It was very sweet. He was like, sent me like 10 questions. He's like, you know, are you sure about this? Do you like the family? Do they like you?
Kevin?
Yeah.
That's so great.
That's
He took it really seriously, like as a friend. He was like, not just as a comic. He's like, so how are you feeling, buddy? Like, you ready to do this tonight? It's a big move. He's like, what if she says no? And I go, well, it is comedy. He goes, you'll say that now. He's like, it will be funny for the audience. It won't be funny for you. And he was just like really concerned. He was like, in a good way, like not worried. But
was he encouraging?
Very encouraging. Okay. He goes, oh, I think you should totally do it. He goes,
and had he met Harsha?
He's married, yeah. He's married.
Had he met Harsha before?
He had... Wow, that is a good question. I have a really bad memory. I remember that day really well. Because it was the best day of my life at that point.
Yeah, but if anyone meets Harsha, they're like, yeah, of course he married her.
Yeah, true. I mean, Harsha's incredible.
She's great.
I mean, I would have married Harsha if she wasn't already spoken.
I need to meet her.
There you go.
She's wonderful.
You need to meet Harsha.
She's wonderful.
Good stuff.
So...
But now a few comics have proposed to their SOs.
Yeah, so after I heard about you, now, like, years into comedy, I've heard maybe like 3-4 other comics say they got engaged on stage as well.
I was like, man, that was going to be my thing.
But I think like you might have been the first.
I hope so. I doubt it, but let's just say I was. As far as I know, I was, but I'm sure I was.
You think
You're never the first to do anything.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm the first male South Asian on this podcast.
Hey, you are.
They told me that.
We did.
Congratulations.
Maz, male South Asian, MSA. Go ahead.
I completely lost my train of thought. Sorry.
Okay, so you're married and happy, and she cooks for you all the time. Moving on. Moving on.
She's just bitter. She's bitter.
How would you think that I'm bitter?
Oh my god.
I'm way older than you. So I was single and happy, but I was also single and miserable for a long time.
Okay. Are you bitter or are you hungry?
Me?
Because she cooks dinner. Never mind.
Yeah, I would be. I do want to. I can't decide if I want a relationship or a personal assistant.
She wants a relationship and or a driver.
I think I want a personal assistant. I want someone who gives me massages and feeds me.
So that's a book of questions. Rank them in order.
In Hollywood, it's like weird relationships, right?
Maid, driver, chef, masseuse.
I want the chef.
Number one would be chef, right?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know, man. I love massages.
I know. Would you get one every day?
Probably. I have a lot of tension from not getting dick, okay?
Yeah. Okay.
Happens.
I can't relate to that. My brother can. So.
Hey.
Oh, your brother's gay?
Brother, two fraternal twins in New York City. One is straight, one is gay, and the gay one is married.
Congratulations.
There you go. Thanks.
How was your family with that? Like, was everyone very accepting?
Yeah, I mean, Rakesh Satyal, books.com, he's an author and a publisher, and he came out to Vikas, his twin, and me a night apart. So this is around 2002. Then he came out to my mom. No, 2001, I think. Or something, 2002 maybe. And then he came out to my mom a few months later, and he came out to my dad 8 years after that.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
And y'all kept the secret?
Yeah.
And I thought my dad would be pissed at my mom. That's why I was like, she's going to catch so much hell for this. But, or rebirth, whatever him those catch. And he was not mad at her for whatever reason. He was actually really, and it was like a made-for-TV movie ending. I'm glad you like that, Paul. For a made-for-TV movie ending, when my brother came out to him, and Rakesh told us all, like, make sure you're all home because Dad might blow the roof off. Because he grew up, my dad is a product of his time. He was very anti-gay and all that stuff. As are most Indian uncles. I feel like.
Was he very surprised?
I'm sorry?
It's the conditioning.
It's the conditioning, totally. And then, but he just gave Rakesh a hug and he goes, "You're my son, and I love you, and I support you."
Wow.
And we're like, "Wow,
That's
my
amazing.
dad that was always like blown as to. I've inherited this from my dad, not the homophobia, the like blowing your top at the little things, but being able to handle the big things just like nothing.
Yeah.
Like emergencies, I'm your man. But the littlest thing, like I dropped my phone, I'm like, what the hell? What the hell? Seriously. But like, I'll save us through like
short-tempered about stuff that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But if it's a crisis,
I got you. You want me in that seat. You want me on that wall. You need me
stay
on that
calm
wall.
and cool.
I feel like I'm pretty good at emergencies too, but like other people's, like whenever it's me, I'm like, ah!
But that makes sense.
When it's other people's, I'm like, you're bleeding out. It's fine. I can handle this.
Well, Louis C.K., rest in peace. That's what he did his neighbor episode on, right? Where his sister was going through the whole thing and the neighbors help him. This is why you need neighbors, the whole thing. They're calm and he's not because they're neighbors. They're not as vested, right?
Yeah.
Okay, since you brought up the rest in peace Louis C.K., do you really think it's over?
Do I think what's over? His career?
His career?
No.
Oh, okay.
Definitely not.
So
I would be willing to put money on that.
Yeah.
He's going to talk about what happened in his next special.
I'm very opinionated generally, but I'm very opinionated on Louis C.K.
Yeah.
Ooh,
so
tell us.
I'm happy to go in on it, man. I'm happy to go in on it.
How do you feel?
I think what he did is wrong and it's indefensible. I think that that's fairly universal, I think, by good people. I think there are people I've heard who are like, it's not that big of a deal. I'm like, wow, you're a douche. So, but I think any person whose opinion I respect, anywhere on the gender spectrum or the sexuality spectrum, I think everybody is kind of like, that was kind of not cool. So I think it's been universally condemned, at least by
everybody.
Good people. Okay.
By everybody who matters.
By everybody who matters. That's a good way of saying it.
Yeah.
I think that let me state my
He did something
full
that was
disclosure.
harmful to other people.
Yeah, harmful to other people, using his male privilege, position of power, all of that. And I think that's obviously wrong. So universally condemned by the people who matter. I think that so full disclosure, he is my favorite comic of all time. So it was Chris Rock for the longest time. And then with, I think, Oh My God, or 2017, whatever it was, I was like, wow, he's the greatest.
Stuck on that, Kevin Nealon.
Oh, I love Nealon, but I don't think Nealon would say he's the greatest of all time. Me and Nealon are boys. Like me and Russell are boys, right? So I wouldn't say that Russell's my favorite comic ever, but he's my boy, right? I mean, I'm my boy. I have a huge ego, but I'm not my favorite comic. So I would say that Louis, so full disclosure. But having said that, I think that his apology, look, apologies have been kind of like denigrated. It's hard to make an apology because it's hard to please everyone along the spectrum. But I think that he at least owned it. Mm-hmm. He apologized right away and he went away, right? That is the opposite of what most men have done. No, I didn't do it. I'm going to go to trial. I'm going to keep my position. They're all liars. They're all bitches. They all suck. It's all the system. Like,
or they get deeper into comedy like Jeremy Piven. Who's just like, I'm not owning up to this. I'm not doing it. And now he's getting work all over town and the country.
Yeah, what happened with the Piven
I don't know
thing?
about
there
that.
There are allegations against him. I'm not sure like what the details are, but there are multiple like accusations from multiple women.
Okay.
I don't know the details, but basically he's gone from being in like acting and directing and stuff to comedy because he was like, there's no HR there. I'll just run over this town.
But he wasn't pushed out of it though. He's still working as an actor.
I don't know. I think the jury's still out on that. I think, I mean, because there's quite a few allegations on him.
Yeah.
And like the rumor mill in Hollywood, like everybody knew about Harvey Weinstein before it broke.
And Kevin Spacey.
Yeah. And everybody knew about that.
People were posting about Kevin Spacey and the other, there was another gay director, and they were like, there was a tweet about it, like, when are these two people that we know are gonna get, like, when are they coming? And then it happened, like, right after. So, like, the gay community all knew.
Kind of knew.
Yeah, 100%. But
yeah, I mean, my brother knew. He was just like, oh, he's got a really bad reputation and all that good stuff. So, yeah, I don't know. I think Louis at least owned it. I think he's super talented. And I think he's done a lot for women. I mean, he's done a lot against women, obviously. So I think, but we've already established that. I think, though, that he also, this is what bothers me, is with Bill Cosby, he's the popsicle Cliff Huxtable, America's dad, which makes sense because America rapes the world. So actually the greatest mascot for America. I think Bill Cosby.
Wait, hold up. We need to give that a little more time.
Wow.
Scathing.
Let the track breathe, son.
Damn. All right.
I want to go in. I want to go in.
Hot take.
Okay.
Hot take. Hot take.
Okay, so he presented himself one way.
Like, did you think he was a good guy watching his stand-up? It's all confessional about how he jacks off for 23 hours
I
out of the
he was
day.
a creeper.
But I knew, but the fact that he was so honest about it made me feel like he was like a real person, and he acknowledged his like grossness, but he didn't ever like wield that power against someone because of how he portrayed himself and women. But then in his show, he had that scene where Pamela Adlon was like, if you weren't so incompetent, this would be rape. Like, she was pushing him away in one of the episodes, and then after it all came out, they were like, well, he was telling us the whole time that he's this nice guy that's just trying to get with these ladies, and I didn't see it because I was just like, oh, like he masturbates or whatever, but he also his values seem to align with mine. So I feel like kind of tricked by that because he was like, look how honest I'm being, look how gross I am, but like women should be respected.
I'm going to pause you right there.
I think as a man, I saw through that.
I'm going to pause you right there and say that
I'm super naive, though.
Everyone knew that he did that. Everyone knew. It wasn't a secret.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
So it's like he wasn't really hiding it. No one checked him. No one said anything until the whole Me Too incident happened.
I think Dave Chappelle's take on it in his last special was the best one, about South Africa apartheid, and you got to tread softly because fear doesn't make a lasting peace. And he talks about Louis, and I think everything he said about that was.
Well, I think conflation is harmful. If you're comparing, like it makes I don't know.
I understand what you're saying about conflation because I personally know a lot of women who are advocates and allies, but when they when they confuse coercion with rape or assault or harassment, and they're all very different things, and there is a huge spectrum. But what bothers me is that as soon as you start talking about something that's not as bad as rape, people say it's like not as bad. You know what I mean? Like, people take it there, and I'm like, no, we're talking about this action being wrong, like in and of itself.
I agree with that, and I also agree with Lindy West because when Daniel Tosh did his rape jokes, and I worked with Tosh at the same room where I opened with Nealon, not to totally name drop, but just to give it sort of a full disclosure quality.
What magical room is this?
I know where I worked with Joe Coy and Russell Peters and Bobcat Goldthwait. Does that count?
I love him so much.
I know, he was awesome.
Amazing.
You just dropped a whole bunch of names on the floor
across
there.
eras too.
Like, I get it.
Is this the Cincinnati Funny Bone?
Cincinnati Funny Bone, man. Shout out to those guys in Kentucky.
Yeah.
But go Bananas too. That's where I started. So I gotta give a shout out to Go Bananas. But okay, I mean, I like getting into trouble, so let's just go. I mean, I think with Lindy West, so the Daniel Tosh thing, when he made the rape joke at the Laugh Factory where he said, how funny would it be if 5 guys just raped her right now, about this woman in the audience? And, I guess the audience laughed or not. I wasn't there. But Is it funny? That's debatable. I don't really think it is.
Did he get banned?
No.
Okay.
So I don't think so. So what happened was Lindy West wrote a column, and I went into it pretty like defensive of Daniel Tosh. Like, screw Lindy West. Like, you know, what does she know? Comedy is the last bastion of free speech in society. And I was the first one to say that, by the way. That phrase has been appropriated.
Fuck you, Lindy West.
Yeah, but not her. I'm just saying anyone who said that. So I don't think she said it. But
who said it?
She goes in, I don't know. Somebody stole it somewhere. And so I just felt like, wow, screw this, screw Lindy West and screw this column. But she changed my mind by the end of it because she made a very good point. She said, you can make the defense that you punch everybody equally. By the way, I feel like I'm totally dominating this conversation.
No,
so if you feel like I'm okay.
This is why you're here. You're the Indian uncle that we call to do our podcast.
Tropic pearls. I'm going to leave. They'll be like, see, this is why men.
He's married. It's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm an uncle at this point. Come on. My wife's nephew and niece live in Dallas. That's why I clown Dallas. So that was that. But she made a point, Lindy West did in this article, where she said, your defense can be I punch everybody equally. But she goes, not everybody can take a punch equally. So you could be like, I punched the ocean and I punched this Easter Island statue and I punched this baby duck. And she goes, well, the ocean and an Easter Island statue can take a punch, but now you're a baby duck murderer. I was like, wow, that's really interesting. So that speaks to white male privilege, straight, able-bodied, white, cisgendered, sexual male privilege, all of that stuff, right? Where you go, okay, they're the top of the spectrum, and then it kind of goes down, and not everybody can take a punch equally. So she changed my mind in like 8 paragraphs. I'm like, wow, Tosh was wrong about that. I think what bothered me about Louis C.K., I did this on stage for the first time in Mumbai, in Bombay, because I said the biggest bummer about Louis C.K. and the fact that he sexually assaulted this woman with his penis is that he's the greatest comic in the world. You think he would have a better pickup line than that? Like, he's a comic. You think he'd have the wittiest, charmingest, most beautiful, but his pickup line is just whip out his dick? You think that'd be like finding out Ron Jeremy has the like sweetest, charming like pickup line in the room?
I've met too many male comics. I've met too many male comics
who are
like so charming and also completely socially inept at the same time.
That's why I don't truck with a lot of comics as friends generally. People are like, oh, don't you just like solidarity, thin blue line? I'm like, no.
I mean,
not really.
Okay, so was he picking them up by pulling out his dick, or were they already? They were
already there because of his allure of being funny.
Okay, so that's a debatable thing. So in my opinion,
but there needs to be a warning. Like someone needs to. You need to be able to suspect the dick might come out.
Yeah,
like
right.
You can't
so
turn
there was no warning. He just whips it out completely. And there's 2 women, and you could. Okay, so I know as a man, okay,
especially when you don't know him like that.
Why couldn't you just leave? That's what every man says, and most women are like, it's not that easy. But men just don't understand that.
I literally I've had a dude masturbate on a bus. I've had somebody grab my vagina when I was sober at a party. Like, I've had a lot of shit happen. I can't even count the number of times I've been assaulted. So like when I was sober, when there was like no way that you could like come up with an excuse for what I was wearing or whatever, you fucking freeze because you don't know what's gonna happen. And I never get violent because I don't know what the other person's reaction is going to be. I know that my parents spent a lot of money on my degrees, and I know that I have shit to lose. So I freeze, and then I try to like figure out a way out of the situation. But it's not like you can't, like, sometimes you're in enclosed spaces, and you don't want to like give them the power of leaving. You know what I mean? Or like you don't know what to do, or you don't know what the repercussions are. And so like a lot of it is shock. Like a lot of it is just like I don't know what to do in the moment.
I have a hard time. I believe you. I don't go, no, that's BS.
It's unfair to have expectations of someone
or understanding it. I believe it.
To have expectations of someone who's been assaulted, like of what their response should be.
Right.
They've just been attacked.
But
they don't know what their response
is. There's 2 of them, and there's 1 of him.
Do you know what's sad though?
That's where I'm a little bit like, I'm confused.
There was a whole bus full of people, and I like still froze when that dude was like masturbating in front of me. Like I literally I sat there and I was like, this isn't happening. Because in my head, I'm a bitch, but I'm like a naive person. I'm like, this can't be.
That's an interesting combo.
Yeah, it's weird. But I'm like, this can't happen. Like this can't be happening. There's no way he's doing this. And like there were other people on the bus, and I couldn't like say anything because I was like, what if I'm like the crazy, like this can't be happening. And then I like waited, the bus stopped, and I went and talked to the driver, and I was like, I think that man's touching himself. And I like got off. I was like
before he got off?
Yeah, exactly. But like, I knew you were going to do that. I was like, I can't. but there.
Did you say bus when he was doing it?
Oh my gosh.
Nah,
That was
bitch.
my favorite joke.
Representing Thummel.
Oh
no, I'm
God.
kidding.
But explain it to the white people.
Bus
But
means
half Cindy.
bus means stop. In
So
Hindi.
when people speak and they see bus stop, they just see stop.
Yeah. That's like chai tea.
Chai tea, right?
Fuck
or
is
non-bread.
that, dude?
Yeah.
But do you know what's really sad is that I've gotten better at speaking up for myself in those moments.
Okay.
But literally, it's taken practice of people assaulting or harassing me.
Right.
It's
That's
a
your
skill you have
trial by
to
fire.
fucking learn. And our family, I grew up in the suburbs. It wasn't something that my parents instilled in me. I know that other cultures, other people like tell like girls to like fight back or
Right.
whatever. That my parents told me to like speak up if anything happened, but it wasn't something that I could see on a daily basis and like see someone
It was not
reacting
modeled
to.
for you.
Yeah, exactly. So like it takes a long time to practice any skill, and unfortunately the practice comes with experience.
So this is
became a
what men need to
necessary
hear,
skill.
like, because it's just here's this occurred to me only maybe
Unfortunately.
48 hours ago, but I was thinking how people in general, not necessarily specific to this conversation, but when people say you'll never understand what I went through, it's a very arrogant thing to say because human emotions are universal. That's why Shakespeare's plays still work. That's why Muhammad Rafi's songs still work. That's why the Beatles songs still work. Because people don't evolve emotionally. We feel disgust and no other animal feels that. Like everybody feels the same emotions.
But what about the depth of how it's felt?
I think
there's a
everybody
range.
feels. No, I don't think so. I think everybody can feel
people
apathy
feel
to the nth
more.
degree, sadness to the
No,
nth
there
degree.
are
anger to the
people
nth
that
degree.
definitely feel
As
more.
someone
than
who's
others.
who's a bit unstable sometimes, I can say that sort of the range of emotion I experience, I've been told, is a little more extreme than other people.
That's like a psychological thing that's been studied too.
Yeah.
But
I've
the
also
the
read-
person's depth of sadness. Maybe you experience it like I
You're
don't know
talking
every
about
day.
frequency, but I'm not talking just
Right.
about frequency. I'm talking about
How
actually
about like
the
depth? of
Range,
it?
yeah.
Yeah.
Range.
That's interesting. I don't know.
But anyways,
but I
continue.
understand.
That's interesting. Yeah,
Emotion-
I'd have to think about that.
But we've all experienced the range of emotion.
Right. So when someone's like, I felt so isolated and alone, I'm like, everybody's felt isolated. Not all the time. Like, again, like if you're a saucism, straight, able-bodied, all that, then yeah, you won't feel it as much, but everybody has felt isolated. Everybody's felt embarrassed. Everybody's felt angry.
I don't like when people say like you don't know what I was feeling because like I don't know what the fuck your story. Like you could have been assaulted as a straight white dude. Like I don't know. Like,
right, and
but
nobody's
it's
got
not-
the exact same experience. So if we
Yeah.
say that, you put up a wall. Like if
Yeah.
I go, you'll never get me. It's like, well, then you've isolated yourself from the other 7.2
I think
billion
that's, like,
people.
that's anger and
Then
defense.
what about empathy? Like what about trying to understand? It's like, well, I'm trying to understand you. And it's also when people say, well, I'm not the ambassador for that.
It's a defense,
And I'm
I
like,
think.
well, screw you then, because you live in this country as a minority. I'm sorry, you're an ambassador. That's part of the job description, okay? You are whether you like it or not. So
Yeah.
you can check out and be like, I'm not an ambassador, but it's like, that's why you don't owe it to anyone, but you owe it to yourself and you owe it to your own people to be a good ambassador. That doesn't mean you have to be a good person. I'm just saying that to check out and be like, well, that's not on me. It's not up to me to explain what being a straight white male is to you, or explain what trans is to you, or explain what Indian is to you. It's like, well, do you want us to empathize or do you not? Because that's a surefire way to get people to be like, well,
I
then
think-
screw you. I'll otherize you then because I can't relate to you.
I think part of it is that it's exhausting to
I
have
understand
to
that.
explain yourself all the time or have to explain. There was an article like when this whole like administration started, I guess.
if it's that's
was,
what we call it. It's called,
whatever
yeah.
it is, this terrorist organization that's happening. And there was an article that came out that was like, I'm tired of explaining empathy to people.
Sure.
Because at some point it's just like, oh, I'm telling you I'm in pain and you are telling me I'm not. And that means like you don't have the empathy. You don't have the ability to understand that I'm in pain. Like you
Sure.
think it's my fault. And so I think that can be really exhausting. And I think a lot of women are fucking tired. Like, we're-
Pryor said that. He goes, it's just exhausting explaining being an African American to people.
yeah, it's just tiring. And so it's like some days you can like sit there and explain it. And other days you're just like I don't want to have to tell you that, hurting women is bad or that Louis may have taken opportunities from women that
But he
like
didn't.
had-
They weren't funny anyway. This is why we
That-
do blogs
that
and
legit-
podcasts.
no,
Wow.
that legit.
But isn't there something to be said for that?
like
Well, do you know
bothered
the
me.
women?
Something to be said for that.
I don't know the women or their
Yeah, you know what? Just
female
assault them
comics
because they're
in
not
here.
funny enough.
No, don't assault them. But isn't that why they went public? Maybe.
What?
Do we know if they're funny or not?
Just kidding.
Wait,
Yeah, I
I'm
was
like
gonna say, I don't know.
confused
I
on
don't
what
know.
you're
I don't know.
saying.
I don't know.
So I have no idea.
I'm getting
Just
triggered.
Are you
I'm
also
legit getting
saying
triggered.
that you don't know any of the funny, successful female comedians who've been in that situation?
They need to come out.
Yeah, I want Sarah Silverman.
They
to
need
come
to
out.
step up.
I want someone who's been through. Like I want
who's beaten the system.
Yeah,
because now they have a stake in the system. People who don't. This is what I've always said about just other countries. That's why the Iran deal is such a the whole thing of tearing it up and isolating whatever. The whole idea is to bring people into the fold, give them a stake in the system. The reason people want to tear things down, anyone, is because they don't have a stake in the system, right? So by pulling that away from people. So the women or anyone, the men or any, that's why it's important. But specifically in this case, for those women to speak out who have been successful in comedy and talk about it because they are part of the system. Well, they benefited from it.
That's how Me Too got started, right?
Sure.
Because so many women in power in Hollywood and around the world came forward.
Me Too actually started 11 years ago by a black woman, and then it just got restarted by white women.
Then Alyssa Milano tweeted it, but then nothing happened until Alyssa Milano tweeted it, and then it just became this whole thing, right? So we need the Alyssa Milano of comedy to come out, whoever the fuck you are.
Use your platform.
Who is the Alyssa Milano of?
I don't know.
A female comedy?
Yeah, I don't know.
Who's the biggest? The biggest ones are what? Schumer, Silverman?
But I don't know if they're the Alyssa Milano, though. That seems so specific. But someone who has a platform.
But a platform. That's all we're saying.
But which one of you knows Tony Danza? Which one of you?
Who knows? Everybody knows who. Someone who, the darling, who is a comedy darling that everybody loves. That
you, Zara.
People, no, I'm not. Nobody. People still think I'm a bitch, and I'm still surprised.
I think you should wear that as a badge of honor.
Whatever.
I think you're
Zara
a bitch
murdered when she opened for me at the Phoenix. What was it? Improv. Dude, she dropped 20 minutes of fire. I was like, man, this chick.
Fun. That was a fun
that was impressive.
show. That was
I was
fun
like, wow, that was great. I was like, how am I going to follow this? It was good.
You did. It was
and
great.
Then
well, I mean, I
to
did because I'm hilarious. But I mean, but for me to feel that about anyone opening for you is always like, wow, I'm going to follow. That's a compliment to anyone opening for you.
It was a great night.
It was a great night.
I love that club.
It is great. Yeah, the whole Phoenix scene is pretty legit.
Well, because Arizona State is right there, so you get the college kids, but then you also get, the grown-ups around Scottsdale and Phoenix and all of that.
I got hammered after some gig there recently, and I started walking the streets completely trashed and met up with this white guy, just this frat white guy, and I started pimping him out as my wingman. This is a few weeks ago, so I'm not even trying to score, but I was just talking to these ladies. I'm like, I got a white guy. You want to talk to him? Reverse slavery. I've got him. He's my property. I was like, can I just call you can you just be my white guy as my wingman, and I'll get you hooked up, but let me do the talking because he was just wasted beyond belief. He couldn't even talk.
Oh God!
Did you
wait a minute? Hook him up with
what?
What if those women took advantage of his drunk ass?
Yeah, I did.
You would be responsible.
I think we need to turn the tables on the straight. pick up a random frat guy in Scottsdale and just make him your own.
We needed to sacrifice a fraternity.
That's the only way this wins. The only way you got to get drunk and walk the streets of Phoenix. That's our only hope.
I always said feminism means equality, but we don't all have to be better. We could all be worse too.
Well, it's funny you say that. So I feel like I forget how to. Yeah, I lost my train of thought. 45 more minutes to go? Okay, great.
Oh, wow.
Oh, no, this is what I was going to say. Yeah, is that I remember my friend Jane. She's a Vietnamese actress. We were sitting at the Coffee Bean, and she was telling me a story. And she goes, I was talking to my white friend, Sarah. And I go, you know what you just did there? You said your white friend, Sarah. And she goes, yeah. And I go, that's the answer. Yeah. That's not putting her down. But we can't just assume that your friend Sarah was white. You just start calling everyone what they are. Yeah. And then you'll...
it's white's no longer default.
Right, and you start calling men sluts. We're not going to stop calling you sluts. So just
Y'all
call
are
us
a bunch of sluts. I mean,
and then you bring everyone down. We're not going to bring everyone up.
That's what fuckboy is.
That's not going to work. You got to bring everyone down.
Yeah, that's what fuckboy is. But it's still, it's worse than slut.
Yeah, but it's not sticking. As much as slut has just become this.
I don't like the word slut. I like whore a lot better.
Because they get paid for that shit.
Fuck boys new.
Yeah, son. That's right.
Because you're making that money,
That's
queen.
why it's stacking that paper, son. Ho's a good. Ho's just a fun word.
Ho is fun.
She's a hoe. But I call men hoes. So I don't think of a woman. I'm just like, hey, look. I'm like, he's a male hoe. I'm like, no, he's a hoe.
I don't see gender. I just see sex.
What's up? That's what's up. That's what's up. I like it. That's good. I like that. That should be your Twitter bio.
All right.
Yeah, change it from kind
cunt was my. I had to change it because I was on a clean show and I got a bunch of followers and I was like, I don't want them to disappear immediately.
Yeah.
What is it now?
With a K.
I don't know. I just took it. I'm gonna put it back on.
So speaking of clean shows, Rajiv, when did you make the transition into like doing clean and corporate? Because you are the go-to guy in the entire Indian community. Like everybody who wants to hire a corporate comedian goes to Rajiv. Like
I have family that know
nice
you,
to know.
Rajiv.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
Your work.
So
in
everybody
Ohio,
knows you.
Cincinnati.
In Ohio?
Yeah,
oh, well, then they would have to know.
I've
me, 'cause
actually
Cincinnati's like the.
I've gotten
my
gigs
hometown.
because you refused to do it, and then 5 other comedians. It like trickled down.
Well, I referred a few people to you.
all the way to. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I was like, why don't
That's
you
so
ask
sweet.
Zara?
That's
yeah,
so sweet. I just
Totally.
figured
You're
it
one of my go-tos.
It trickled down, and I'm like, all right,
that's
I'll take
good.
it.
Utkarsh did my talk show, Utkarsh and Butker, and he was talking about how he got Hassan Minhaj's table scraps. He's like, that's what's happening now. I'm getting his table scraps. So
That's amazing.
That's what's going on right now. I've worked clean from the very moment I went on stage.
Was it more of a personal choice, or did you know it was more lucrative?
I didn't know it was more lucrative at the time. I think there were like 3-4 reasons that I've come up with that I didn't know at the time. I wasn't conscious of it. One of them was, how can I say crazy stuff in front of all these people I just met? Right. So for me, I was like, how can I drop the F word or the C word? Like, I don't know these people
I do that to
at all.
strangers all the time.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't even know you.
Was
like,
it also like you were trying to be a good Indian boy too?
I don't think that entered into it. Maybe it did subconsciously, but for me, it was like, man, I don't know these people. 2, I want to reach as many people as I can. And from Cincinnati, it's very conservative. I'm like, wow, I could reach more people who will just tune me out. 3, I guess the lucrative side of it occurred to me later. And 4, this is really the reason I'm clean. I like to find the line. I'm not a shock jock. Like, I love dirty comedy. Eddie Murphy Raw, greatest stand-up set in history. I don't know if it'll ever be topped. I love dirty comedy. I love dirty jokes. But on stage, I like threading the needle. Like, I was always that kid in class who could just walk to the line but not be sent to the principal's office because I just threaded the needle.
I was always sent to the principal's office.
I could see that.
I
you know,
was
like,
sent too.
You know,
Yeah.
but
I was a lot as an elementary
feels
school kid.
authentic,
I never
like if
was.
it feels
I was a
authentic
lot.
how
And now
you
look
do
at
your sets, you know, that matters. Like for me, I'm a grown ass woman. I say nasty things sometimes.
Yeah.
So it's like for me, censoring that, which I do sometimes for certain gigs, but like that's not fully authentic for me.
Sure. And I've had friends say that to me because they're like, wow, you're so funny. Like, I think I'm now as funny on stage as I am off, and that's always a challenge for comics. But some people the other way around with like the good writers, right? You meet them in real life and you're like, yeah, they're creepy or awkward, or like, well, you're not even like a funny person. That offends me as a comedian. When I meet comics who I'm like, you're so boring. You're not a barrel of laughs at all. Like, you're just so serious. And why am I hanging out with you? Like, I can hang out with civilians then. Why am I hanging out with comics if you're not going to be funny?
But comics tend to be a little weird. Like, there is groups of comics that are weird. Like Louis C.K. in person. Yeah. Unless you're friends with him, you probably don't think he's hilarious. Yeah, he's not a clown.
No, but I feel like there's 20% of us who are like, who at least make an effort off stage.
Right.
Who are just, that's the way we are. It's just, I talk like this all the time.
I feel like on like off stage, when I'm like away from stand-ups, I'm like super goofy and silly around my friends. And then when I'm around stand-ups, I get hella defensive because I'm like trying to prove myself, you know? And then I take myself too seriously.
That'll go away.
Yeah. So I'm trying to like force that out. Force myself out because I'm still new.
I was like that too.
Yeah.
I mean, I probably may still be for all I know. I hope I'm not, but we are always more defensive than we think.
Yeah.
Right. You should have been like, no, I'm not.
I know. But I guess I'm not as good off stage as I am on stage.
I was always funnier. Like, and people are like, oh, but you're not, you do swear a lot. And it is funny, like how you swear funny, like you talk. I was like, yeah, but I don't swear. I don't feel like I talk swearing all the time. But when I do swear, I guess it is funny.
I do always feel like we're a part of a talk show. Like whether,
you and I?
We're on on a show or not, it definitely feels like I feel like I'm being interviewed. This is cool.
I don't know,
you're very intense
interviewing
me.
You have a very intense vibe.
I know, but I don't know if that's like, am I too corporate, like too formal?
No, I think you're just like always fully engaged.
Yeah, that's what it is. You're just like a good listener. You're
like,
good.
No, you're not.
In conversation.
It's just very charming, and it's like it's always on. Well, every time I meet, you know.
But is it like? Do you get a fake vibe?
No, not at all.
You could say if you.
Have you
not
at all?
No, I mean I don't know, because I think I'm kind of too big of a dick to be fake. Like, I'm very open about how I feel about things. People, obviously, I feel like I've been pretty transparent. You know, like, I haven't tried to play it safe. I walked right into Me Too. Like, let's go. Let me say some stuff about Louis C.K. that the panel probably will not agree with.
I appreciate that. And I'm wondering, like, do you have a kryptonite? Like, does anything turn, like, do you ever take days off? Like,
do you get tired? What's happening?
Do you get tired?
Wow. Gosh, that's interesting. I'm going to have a bad temper.
Okay.
So, I mean, I can get, I don't know if it's triggered, or I could just get really pissed over little things or even big things. I mean, that's I've said it's kind of funny to say it's your only flaw, but it's kind of my only glaring flaw. Like, we all have problems.
How are you in traffic?
I'm actually relatively good in road rage. I'm pretty decent. Like, today, Hersha and I were driving, and I did I honk? Yeah, I did honk. And I gave the guy the finger. Okay.
You like blacked it out.
Okay.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, I did that. Called him I swore. But not okay. Here's the limit for me. Is the limit, but it wasn't rape. It wasn't the limit of like, oh, I chased him down, or I won't tailgate someone, or I won't take the same exit. That's crazy. But I won't do anything with my car. That's a good way of putting it. I'll get pissed in my car. I'll yell. I'll give you the finger, but I won't put the window down and give you the finger, or I won't like tailgate you or go cut you off.
You just have the release within your private. I got to release,
yeah. So Hirsch has to catch the blunt of it. But she agrees. She's like, that guy is an MF.
And that she says it very calmly.
Yeah. No, she gets into it, but she's much more calm. That's a Punjabi Gujarati thing. That's a stereotype that's true. She's like, wow, your family is loud. You guys get into it.
You're the hot-headed Punjabi.
Yeah.
And she's like the cool, collected Gujarati.
And I needed that. Like, I could not. I dated Punjabi women. I'm not saying all Punjabi women are like this, but they all are.
But 51
but 51, but 99 are. No, my mom is really calm, but she, I think Punjabis are really turned up in general. I don't know if I take
because Punjabis like to turn up.
We like to turn up. We like to get turned.
The party is real.
Yeah,
the party is real. The struggle is real, but the party is real.
The party is even realer.
The food's real.
The food's real. Without Punjab, India would be.
Are you taking a side? Punjabi food, Gujarati food.
Without Punjabis, India, that's like the United States without California. That's like Harold Melvin without the Blue Notes. Like, you lost half your swag. Like, Punjabis are half the swag of India, at least. Like, the food, the dancing, the drinking, the partying, the movies, the actors. Come on, dude.
I feel like
we're half.
I feel like Sindhis and Punjabis have a lot in common, because that's like my mom's side is definitely like the party drink side, and my dad's side is where I got my engineering.
I feel
from.
like Sindhis are kind of like more like Gujaratis in that they won't spend as much.
I don't know. I guess it's hard for me to tell inside.
Although I'm going to Vegas with a couple Sindhis, and they're
the entire subcontinent doesn't like to spend as much.
But that was just isn't like Gujaratis are known
pronounced.
to be.
I think that's true,
too,
but I think it's more pronounced. And Marwadis and people like that.
Thrifty.
Thrifty.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm half Gujarati, and my Gujarati side is very thrifty. Yeah. They like it. They love a good deal.
Love a good deal.
My dad told me that my mom used to do the thing where she would take coupons from like McDonald's to Burger King and be like, it's cheaper there. And then that's how like competitive couponing happened.
I would not doubt it. It's like last bastion of free speech.
Yeah, my mom. Shout out to Duru.
Coupon,
oh my God. The Indians are one of the best hagglers in the world. Yeah.
Definitely. We have to haggle on everything. Took my wife's car in, $16.99. I was like, can you do anything for me? And the guy's Daisy, and he goes, all right, $13.99. Or wheel realignment today. He's like, 89. I'm like, what can you do? I usually go, how about for me, though? And then I'm like, all right.
Does it usually work?
Yeah, it's because it's funny and it's charming and it's self-deprecating. Like, you obviously don't mean it. How about for me, though?
There was something, there was like this study or this article or something about the good guy discount, where people would go in and be like, okay, but like, I'm a good guy, so like, can I get a discount?
Okay.
And it worked like half the time or something, like some incredible amount. So if you just say that, they're like, okay, we'll just give you it cheaper.
Because I think they're willing to give you something. You just have to ask.
You have to ask.
But, there's a limit to it. But yeah, I don't know. I'm very pro Punjabi just in that sense. Although we're not the brightest of all the states. We're not the brightest of all the states. That goes to the South Indians. That goes to the Tamil, the Telugu, the freaking Malayalis. And
Pallavi's very proud of herself right now.
They're smart, dude.
I met when I first met Russell Peters, everybody.
Yeah.
he was like, Ganalan, where's that from? And I was like, that's Thummel. I'm half Sindhi, half Thummel. And he was like, oh my God, Thummels, they're like so smart and everything. And he was like telling this white friend of ours like all about it. And then I was like, I'm also half Sindhi. And he's like, we can forget about that. And I told my family, and now my uncle is mad at Russell Peters.
That's awesome. That is hilarious. I'll have to take it up with him.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Russell calls me Chotu every time he sees me.
That's hilarious. You are pretty small.
That means
very
small.
cute. Sure, but it's like why?
Chotu.
So I'll just call him like Uncle Russell because
I mean, that makes sense.
Do we want to call him Uncle Russell or Russell Uncle?
I say Russell Uncle.
Yeah.
I say Uncle Russell. I don't know because he's Canadian.
My wife is born in Canada. Nicest people.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, you got an escape plan. I see.
Uncle Al.
We do have an escape plan. Got that healthcare, got that escape. Wait, I just have a couple friends who did actually move to Canada. Like, oh, we're going to move to Canada.
You know what I just found out? You can't go to Canada if you have a DUI.
What?
Why do you know this?
I mean, that doesn't affect us, but
It's important to know.
Yeah, that is important to know.
I don't really.
Well, you can't become a citizen there if you've got a DUI in another country.
You can't visit.
They don't want the bad ones. The drunks.
Is that true?
That's like
you
half
have to
the
go through
city.
some legal.
You have to just go to Windsor.
Loopholes.
That
and
is
jump
half
through
of Los
hoops.
Angeles. Almost everybody I've
Has a
met.
Dewey.
So what happens when the U.S. turns into Gilead and we have to be refugees and we need to go to Canada?
That's going to be hilarious
Well,
irony.
Are they going to take the DUI refugees?
I think California is going to secede
don't
before
deserve
then.
Cal exit. So let me ask you for real, since I got all real and I dominated. I would say that I want to ask you this because Pallavi, you're tall and you're witty and clever, so you want to dominate.
Oh my God,
The point being that I really would ask you a real question is the brown girl struggle and all that. What's going to happen in this country? Like, what's going to happen? What's the big thing? Like, are we just going to kind of truck along? Is there going to be a revolution? Is there going to be a collapse? Like, what's going to happen? I know nobody knows, but what do you think?
I feel like the pendulum's going to swing back a little bit in the midterms and in like the next large election. But I don't know if it's going to like economically like swing all the way back as fast as people want it to. Because I think the damage has been done.
Like irreparably.
Not irreparably. Everything like goes up and down. But since Trump has taken office, I think my roommate's so fucking smart. He was telling me about I don't want to get it wrong, but usually there's like dips and there's like valleys and peaks. And for Trump, since Trump has been there, it's been kind of like a slow decline. And people aren't noticing that right now, but they will soon. So I think it's going to take a long time to recover.
Are you guys talking about the economy?
Yeah.
Just the country in general, sure. The economy, the zeitgeist, the world. Like, because Trump is such a singularity. Like, what?
I'm worried about.
So you think it'll bounce back, but it'll take a while?
Like in terms of politics and economics, I think it will. But I think, and everything is like kind of steered towards progress. But I am worried about the acute effects of all of like the xenophobia and stuff of our time, because like the immigration issue or whatever that people want to call it here and like in Europe and stuff, that's like just kind of revealed people's xenophobia. So I don't know with all the war and shit that's happening, I don't know if that's going to like ease up. You know what I mean? And I don't think that any of these economies are prepared for it. What?
Worse profitable.
Yep.
So why would it ease up?
Yeah, I mean, our economy is built on war.
Like there are better conflict resolutions that can happen between adults. Why are we killing people who aren't even involved?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the banks make more money, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But in terms of the pendulum swinging, I mean, historically, that is a pattern. Like we have Trump after having our first African-American or black president. I don't know what's
Muslim
PC
president.
these days.
Yeah, Muslim president.
When they were like, he's Muslim, I'm like, great.
I kind of still think he was.
I would love it.
So, I mean, is the pendulum going to swing back to...
He was now. Oh, that's a good way of putting it.
Definitely a Muslim ally.
Yeah. I'm Muslim faith. He said it twice.
Yeah.
I'm like,
So is the pendulum going to swing back to something more progressive? Quicker than the. I mean,
I think
like everything just happens bigger. Like
I think in terms of social issues, I think that the reason that the LGBTQ movement has had such a quick progression through a grassroots movement is because it's hard to have a child who ends up being LGBTQ and to turn them away. And I think that like it's a lot easier to avoid people of different skin colors and cultures because you can be very insular and you can avoid having those people in your family. But when it's born into your family, it's a lot harder to reject them and to continue with the hate speech that you've had before. So I feel like that movement will progress and will have a lot more success. I'm worried about the cultural and this xenophobia.
Okay.
I'm worried more about that.
That's fair.
Anybody else?
I'm worried about so in terms of politics and the economy and like this country, I mean, the kids now, they're seeing what's happening. You know, they're seeing the Trumpocalypse in front of them, and they're going to get to vote eventually. You know, like we all saw, we know the demographic who voted for Trump. Right, and we know the demographic that's coming.
But there are a lot of movements that are recruiting younger people. Like the whole Planned Parenthood shutting down was a result of people making active efforts to recruit young people in like camps and stuff, like summer camps, and through marching. I had a friend of mine who's pro-life, and she was recruited through this system, and they made an effort, and the pendulum swung in the wrong direction that way. So it's not always just that the young people are going to save us, because there is like this, you know, kind of like Stockholm syndrome that they have with the older generation when the older generation makes that effort to like indoctrinate them. I
don't think the young people are going to save us. I just think that we're making more efforts to educate the younger people. And I mean, a lot of us,
so we'll save ourselves.
Yeah, a lot of us who are liberals, I mean, our votes were divided, right? And so that's a problem that the other side needs to figure out. And maybe we won't figure it out right away, but I have faith in the system, and I have faith in our generation that hopefully we will.
Do you know what's crazy?
System? I don't have faith in the system. I have faith in our generation. Especially since we're like dealing with the repercussions of this now.
Yeah. Also,
because we didn't think you'd win.
Do you know what's crazy is that Hillary's never lost. Everybody says that she's like not popular, but she won the popular vote in 2008 and she won it now.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, she's a bitch. No one likes her. And it's like, she won the popular vote twice when she ran for president.
Well, that's all a perception thing, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's like, we need to, I think Trump has done a good job in like kind of.
That's
like
the only time that sentence will ever be said.
Putting the media on blast, and then like a lot of us are questioning the media, and we're like, we don't,
because they profit off of it too.
Exactly.
All their ratings are up.
Exactly.
I fed it. I read all those articles. I watched all those news programs. I mean, I'm part of the problem.
But also what you were saying about information getting out, that's the problem, is that a lot of that information isn't accurate, or it's like skewed, right? So that information, the transparency, the transparency of the internet is a beautiful thing when there are like uprisings in Egypt and emergencies that civilians can like put their truth out there, but simultaneously with the whole like Russian troll situation, you don't know what you're
like even if we win, do we win?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, is it hacked? To tie it back to the Me Too movement, here's the thing. So I'm working on sort of a 3-part, I don't know if it's a series or what it is, but
assault. No, kidding.
Assault, rape, and battery, in that order.
That should come out next year.
That should come out right there on the bus. The wheels on the bus go round and round.
Bus.
I was thinking bus.
Bus hogia. Let's go.
I was thinking that it'd be a 3-part series. The first part was anxiety and depression that I felt since the election. I have no history of anxiety or depression, but I have a lot of both since the election. That's the first part. The second part is how Trump is pure evil, and the third part is how the upsides of Trump winning. And just trying to find the silver lining.
Well, everyone's been activated. I haven't seen anyone this activated in my lifetime.
That's one of them. And it's just like, if nothing else, because it's not a monolith. I was having a conversation 2 weeks before the election where I was interviewing a bunch of my friends from Ohio who are blue collar, white, straight males, and we're having a bonfire. And I was just, because I was like, Hillary's going to win, but let me talk to the other side. And I was talking to my friend who is I don't want to give him away totally, but he is a police officer in Ohio. He's white. Whole thing. And
there's a lot of those there.
There are a lot of those there.
I don't think you've given him away.
A lot of those there. We can't give it away.
Sorry, Frank.
Sorry to narrow it down. Exactly. Sorry, Frank.
Even saying Frank.
Hi, Frank.
There's how many Franks are in Ohio?
Lots of Franks.
Plenty.
Lots of hot dogs. And so we're drinking heavily, right? My dad dropped me off for this. That's how heavily I was drinking. No Uber, I guess, that night. And with equal passion, this is why it's not a monolith. And I go back and forth between writing all these people off and trying to reach them. And that's part of the anxiety. And to me, anxiety, it manifests as different for different people. But for me, it's about being torn. I know we're running out of time, but it's about being torn. And the whole idea of going, do I write Frank off or not? Because 1 minute, and literally the next minute, 1 minute, he's talking about how this is a Christian country and it was founded on Judeo-Christian principles and the Bible was the main book and blah, 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 and you got to get with the program. With equal vehemence, he goes, you got to be pro-choice. It's a woman's choice. If you can't understand that, you're an idiot. And I'm like,
great.
He's an ally. On one hand, you're like, how do I just write off Frank and go, well, he's part of the problem? With equal, like, he's not saying it to please me. I didn't tell him I'm pro-choice.
But then Frank
like,
voted for the guy who's shutting
Frank,
down.
That's right.
Planned Parenthood all over the country.
And they didn't make, I know people who made, because we have to grant them the thing of like, why did they vote the way they voted? Because they voted for different issues and they didn't think that, like, I have a dad who voted for Trump who said, and it's been a big thing. You got to have me back to talk about that.
Whoa.
And my brother didn't talk to him for a while. And the big thing was my dad is like the LGBT community that issue sailed. And he really believed it. So whether you believe it or not, Mike Pence, whatever, all this stuff, Camps, Brent, the Supreme Court, a lot of things to support that it hasn't. In his mind and in his heart, it has.
So then why did he vote for Trump?
Because he doesn't like China. And he had to walk the line of partition. So, and he had a lot of things happen to him as a kid where if you walk through his life and you're like, wow, you lost everything you had when your family was born in Pakistan and you had to leave, and he harbors a lot of ill will.
Oh, he was a Hindu in Pakistan.
That was my grandfather was a Hindu. He was born in Pakistan, was living in Afghanistan, and was like, their family was like running away as Afghanis were trying to murder them.
And this was pre-independence.
Yeah, so he was born in 1944, so he remembers walking the line of partition, losing everything they had. I didn't have that.
He was old enough to remember that?
Yeah, he has a weird memory.
Wow.
Yeah, I was like, you remember walking the line of partition? That's really weird. But it's such a traumatic experience that I had a great childhood, but everything I remember is pretty much traumatic. Getting locked in a bathroom, whatever, getting car seat, can't reach the lock of my mom's car. All the stuff I remember, I make my parents sound horrible, but they're not. I just remember the 5 or 6 things that were really terrible. Yeah. So my point being to end this whole thing from my part of it is just to say that if the only positive of Trump's election is the Me Too movement came out, I'm in.
Okay. One last thing. Do you want to do the questions?
I don't know.
I want to end it with his joke on why he thinks Indians voted the way they voted. Why Indians voted Republican.
Oh.
Wait, Indians voted Republican overall?
Why?
Well, 78% for Hillary, but why the 22% who voted for Trump? Because I feel like Indians get confused when they see the party symbols. They...
So stupid.
Thank you, Zara.
But
they see the elephant.
So dumb.
They're like, okay, Ganesh, okay, all right. Thanks for having me end on that. Oh, that's cool. I'm glad.
Rajiv Satyal, everybody.
He got it.
All right, Satyal, look him up. Where can we find you?
And,
thank you. At Funny Indian on all social media and RajivSatyal.com. My talk show is on right now. What do you bring to the table? Russell Peters, Hassan Minhaj, Deepak Chopra, Deepika Matyala. Sorry, I will say that wrong. Nina Davaluri. My gosh, we have a lot of people on that show.
Everyone
like
who's a who's who of Indian Americans.
Right.
And someday Pallavi, Fizza, Zara.
Yay!
There you have it.
Okay,
someday, like tomorrow.
Okay,
Soon.
so
tomorrow.
Facial Recognition Comedy on Instagram and Facebook. Facial Rec Comedy on Twitter. You guys, if you rate and review our podcast on iTunes, we will put you in a raffle to win some dope prizes once we get to like 50 reviews, I think. And we also will release all of our videos on Patreon, patreon.com/facial recognition comedy. I'm Pallavi Ganalan on all social media. That's PALLAVIGUNALAN that's my website, my Facebook, my Instagram, my Twitter.
All right, I'm Fizza Dasani. I'm always like, in my neck. Fizza Dasani on Twitter and Instagram. I'll spell it for you, FIZAADOSANI, and The Fizza on Facebook and FizzaDasani.com.
And I'm Zara Ali. You can find me on all the social medias with one handle.
Yay,
now.
she did it.
It's called Really Zara. And Zara is spelled ZAHRA. And really, you should look it up in a dictionary if you can't spell that. Okay, thanks. Bye.
Yay.